This is Bill. Can you hear me okay?
Hi, Bill. I can hear you.
Hi, Bill. How are you? This is Shawn.
Very good. Hey, you both sound the same. That's bad news.
Oh, boy. Okay, if we say Shawn here, Clay here?
Yep.
Yeah, just before we start recording anything formally, we admire your work, and we're really fascinated about what news you may have for us, if any, and we'd love to ask you, what would you like to achieve from this opportunity of our talking with you and posting something for a lot of people to see? What would you like to get out of this?
Clay here. If I want anything, I want to move this forward towards contact as best as possible. If there's any information right now, which we've talked quite a bit, at least in terms of our posts on Open Minds forums, what I want to do is try to ensure or create an environment where we can get contact. Ultimately, that's what I think that, Shawn would agree with me, that we're after. We do want disclosure, but what we're after is contact. Disclosure is a very difficult thing right now, I think, from what we understand. Do you have something to say on that?
Well, I just want to add specifically, this is Shawn, specifically what we want from this interview is for both you and Carrie to offer some clarity on some of the positions out there in the UFO field by asking Q&A and just general this intercourse that we're going to go through in the next few hours. Because there's some confusion out there. There's some lack of clarity about our position on disclosure/contact. I think you guys will offer some clarity on that.
I'm sorry, Carrie and Bill. I was speaking broadly on the issue, but yes, in terms of the interview, yes, if there's specific questions that you guys would like to ask us, we're going to do our best to answer that. If we can't answer it, please understand is that the program is ongoing. We're within a tactical phase of this whole equation. So we will do our best to at least answer the questions or point you in the right direction of where we're going, okay? I hope that doesn't frustrate you folks.
Okay. This is Carrie. I just want to say, first of all, that it's great to talk to you guys. I have a cold, so my voice is a little more hoarse than usual. So hopefully that's not going to come across too difficult on the recording.
No, you sound great, Carrie. You sound like Carrie from Camelot. So
just a little lower pitch than the normal. But anyway,
I'm recording it right now, and you sound fine. And what we should also be aware of, just to state what I think we all know, is that we are watched very closely and supported by quite a few on the inside, and I'm sure you are as well. And therefore, if together we do a good job of this and we show that we understand the appropriate sensitivities that are involved, and there are many, then we're more likely to win friends by showing that we're able to be intelligent about this as part of the movement, which a lot of people on the inside actually want this to happen and they want this to work. And so we can help these guys if we do a good job here. Is this also the way that you see it?
I agree with you. No doubt that's a direction we want to take, and that is a direction that the people we're associated want to take. At the end of the day, they want to push for disclosure, and they want to move it towards contact. In any way we can do that, and that's our ultimate aim.
Okay. I want to say here that first of all, I want to find out if you guys have watched any of our videos.
I've seen about 65 to 70% of them.
And roughly, I've seen probably about 50%, Carrie and Bill.
Okay. Well, that's
that's
actually
a lot of hours.
that's actually not bad for some of the people we talk to, because otherwise we need to know whether the people we're talking to have any idea what we've been involved in and so on and so forth. We are, as you know, always looking for whistleblowers, and we're often dealing with whistleblowers, as obviously you are. And so we are aware of the sensitivities in that area. But at the same time, I want to say that you're familiar to some degree with at least my style, in the sense that I may ask you some pretty direct questions, and you just feel free to, answer as to the best of your ability. But if you have to say, I don't know, or I can't talk about that, that's all good too.
Okay.
No, that's fine. And Shawn and I mean this, Carrie and Bill. One of the most informative interviews ever given on Project Camelot was the discussion that you had with Greer. That is exactly where we are across the board. And this is one of the issues with the working groups, that they're trying to understand, and also trying to, as they say, separate the signal from the noise, and move things forward. It's that big and it's that complex.
Oh yeah,
it's also this is Shawn. It's also that contentious too. I mean, people have positions and they defend them and with passion.
Yeah,
and that's happening at the highest levels.
Okay, Bill, why don't you start with the introduction then, and let's have some, a little bit of formality, and then we can kind of jump into this subject.
Hey, Carrie and Bill, before you go there, if we hesitate or pause, sometimes what we will do is that we will cover the mouthpiece and we'll ask each other if we can say something, okay?
Yeah.
So please do not be offended if we do that, okay?
I might do the same thing with Carrie. It's really cool. Don't worry about it.
You're talking to a duo team that we have these same things going on all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Okay, you got it. Very good.
Okay, all right. This is Bill Ryan and Kerry Cassidy from Project Camelot, and it is Tuesday, November the 3rd, 2009, and we are privileged here to be talking with Clay and Shawn Pickering, two brothers. They're based in New York, and I believe that you're sitting side by side at the moment, Shawn and Clay. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Kerry and I are not. We are several thousand miles apart. I'm in Europe and Kerry's in Los Angeles. And we had been following the work of Shawn and Clay quite closely ever since early last year, when they burst upon the scene of UFO research by disclosing that they had a very close contact with an insider source, a Navy officer, who was privy to high-level discussions within the United Nations about the subject of disclosure, with all the complexities, all the political negotiations, all the unanswerable questions, and all the many different agendas, cultures, languages, and nations that involved. And this was covered last year extensively by the Open Minds Forum. It was reported on quite extensively by our friend Dr. Michael Salla. And we had not heard anything about this very much for the last year or so until we were contacted by Clay, or was it by Shawn? I can never remember. Please forgive me if I get the two of you confused here.
It was initially by Clay.
It was by Clay. Thank you, Clay. I guess the clue there is in how you sign your name, whether you sign your name Clay and Shawn or Shawn and Clay, and this is what we do as well. And just a few days ago, we were delighted, genuinely delighted to hear from you, and you referenced our video interview with Dr. Stephen Greer, which we published a little over a month ago, I think it was. That was, let us put it politely, it was contentious and it was controversial, and we had a huge mailbag in response to that. People expressing strong opinions in every different way that one could imagine. And you wrote to us with what we felt was a very intelligent, and we were delighted to read it as a complimentary message to us, but one that reflected a great deal of knowledge and understanding about what the problems were on the inside. And we invite you to start from that point. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you know this, why you wrote us the mail that you did, and you got the stage.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to thank you and Carrie for having us. We are honored, and we feel very privileged to be given an interview for Project Camelot. And as we had said in our previous conversation, that we have watched many of the videos. They're incredibly informative, and the production value is done incredibly well, guys. So we like your approach very much.
What happened was, when I saw the Greer interview, I was really struck by, Kerry used this phrase a number of times, as above, so below, that when you guys were having the debate with Dr. Stephen Greer about whether or not ET was malevolent or benevolent, and the way Stephen Greer was presenting the information as if he almost had a monopoly on this perception. There was a contentious debate that went back and forth. And I said, this is interesting because this is the same type of debate that's happening at the highest levels, dealing with a particular program under a particular operation, about how much can they trust this particular ET race. How much are they malevolent? Are they benevolent? How many of the cards do we need to show at this point? And the debate between Kerry and Stephen Greer really reflects kind of a debate on this perception, Bill and Kerry.
Yes. What really jumped off the page at me was not only the fact that we weren't surprised by what you said, because our position, as you might imagine, was that we would expect any well-informed people, any well-informed view must be that this is difficult, this is contentious, that how do we know that we're not looking at a Trojan horse here in various different forms? There's surely not just one race involved, there must be many. As Kerry so eloquently said, as below, so above, and all the rest of it. And then what jumped off the page at me was, you guys must know a lot of stuff, because your response was so concise and, in our view, intelligent and well-informed. We thought, I want to know what they know, because we want to know, because a lot of other people who write to us every day, tens of thousands of people every day visit us, they all want to know what's going on. And it may well be that we are getting close to that point where there is a tipping point of people on this planet being, let's not use the word ready for disclosure, but able to cope with it and everything that it may entail. And we do know that there's a row of dominoes it's going to go over, and who knows where they're going to fall and what's going to happen next. But at some point, someone's going to push the first domino, and maybe we're getting close to that point. And what are the factors involved? What do you know? How do you know? What is your source? And what have you been doing in the last year since you were reporting extensively on the Open Minds Forum in 2008?
I'll tell you one thing. It's much like the movie business. It's a lot of waiting around because you get bits of information, you get flurries of activity, of interaction, and then you get nothing. You got to hang back, and you got to wait, and you got to wait, and you got to wait. But primarily, our source, as we say, is Source A. He's a military officer. He's in the Navy, and he has a long history of being in what they call, as they say, the black world. Now, that long history that stems way back into the early '80s when he was actually witnessed a specific craft overhead in the Nevada desert. They were. He and two other people, Marines. Well, he wasn't a Marine, but he, the Navy person, and two other Marines were tasked to retrieve a missile. And it was a Tomahawk test missile that errantly kept on going. It was shot from on the west coast of California, and was supposed to drop in an area, a missile range area, and it kept on going and going. So they were tasked to retrieve the missile, and to make a long story short, they ended up in a very cured area.
We think it was a Tonopah test range area. Logistically, that would fit. Go ahead.
And at that point, about probably early morning, about 1 a.m., they were awoken, and they looked up into the sky, and they saw a triangular craft moving over the head of them. They were actually from a tactile sense, they felt the wind hit them first, and they looked up, and they saw a silent triangular craft move overhead of them in a step-like fashion, and then subsequently there were a couple of F-15s.
Yeah, F-15s, right.
And then the Chinooks came.
No, the Blackhawks came.
Blackhawks came, and subsequently they were taken into custody, and they were interrogated for a number of days. You want to add anything to that, Craig?
No, it's just we've kind of covered that, and I have no problem repeating that for you guys. But if we just move on with
Okay, but he also what you guys have said, and I think the best thing would be to just summarize, like in a paragraph, and I can kind of start the summary, if you will. But I'd rather have you guys really augment it In essence, Source A was subsequently involved in a meeting at the UN where disclosure was being discussed with various Europeans as well as Americans and